Moose meat and caribou, salmon and berries and wild greens, native soul foods on tables all across Alaska. And Dr. Allison Kelliher joins us now. Thank you so much for being here with us. She believes they're more than just comfort food. So Dr. Kelliher, you're obviously a medical doctor and Alaska native. What stands out to you about Igiugig Subsistence Challenge?
I think it's so promising and exciting. The fact that we have access to an intact ecosystem that supports our ability to continue to gather from it really gives us these nutrient-dense, healthful foods. So what I see is that those traditional foods decrease our inflammation, which are causing a good deal of those modern diseases, such as diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and those kinds of things.
I was just going to say, Ida, we saw she lost 28 pounds, her insulin intake down by 2/3. Why was this such a successful diet for her?
Well, I think that when we're interacting with our environment, we're also expending a lot of energy. And so I wonder about how it was that she was preparing the foods. You know, just cooking foods and planning your meals takes a lot of effort, and it's more challenging than just opening up a package. But of course, the contents of your dish or that package makes a big difference. So when it comes to traditional Alaska Native foods, we eat foods that are nutrient dense, so they have lots of vitamins and minerals in them, but they have less calorie, and especially less calorie from harmful fats like trans fats or hydrogenated fats. So the high quality fats really make a difference for healthy energy that decreases that cellular swelling or the inflammation that can cause damage and disease.
A lot of people get scared about fats, but not so much in this diet. And you brought stuff to show us about native diet. What did you bring in? How is that helpful to your immune system, your body?
Well, what's really interesting is I've been looking at polyunsaturated fats that are found in things such as the tallow from moose, which I've been experimenting with. So traditionally, we would have used tallow as a topical to deliver medicine, or also as something that we could dip our meats and fishes in. And so this particularly is high in antimicrobials, so it'll fight disease topically or internally. So moose fat is one thing that I brought, and then also some muktuk, which is harvested from the bowhead whale and has nutrients as well as vitamin A and E in it. Another Another food that contains a lot of fats that are extremely healthy is fish, and so I have some smoked fish here, and that's especially high in omega-3 fatty acids, which are really helpful for our brain and our heart and decreasing that inflammation that can contribute to diabetes. The other two items I have are the Alaskan blueberry and the low bush cranberry, which are tremendous for their antioxidant potential, and so they are anti-diabetic and antiviral and antibacterial, can help us to prevent colds and flus and treat colds and flus, as well as irritation to the bladder from things like bladder infections. So all of our foods have many different health benefits. And what's wonderful is we've been eating them for thousands of years to help us understand how valuable they are.
Something new is processed sugar in the diet. What do you think the impact has been of store food and processed food on Alaska Native people?
That's such a great question, and we're still discovering what it is. You know, the effects of a high quality fat diet, where about 50% of our calories were coming from high quality fats, to now the more modern perspective is maybe 65–70% of our calories sometimes are coming from sugars. So really we've swapped out healthy fats for sugars. And we see the effects of that in the general public in America, but we're starting to see that Alaska Native people are manifesting those same diseases of lifestyle. So higher rates of heart disease, cancer, and diabetes, unfortunately. You know, when I trained originally in medicine some 15 years ago, we had one person in the system, in the Alaska Native system, who was on dialysis, and now there's just so many more of us. So we see the end stages of the high rates of diabetes now affecting us with kidney disease and other things.
There's obviously other benefits besides nutritional to this food. Spiritual, mental, what are some of the other benefits?
Well, we believe that we're in deep relationship with the animals and that there is an agreement that since we can't generally clothe ourselves or feed ourselves just based on what we had available in the north here pre-contact, we had an agreement with those animals and with the plants. And so we interact with them when we harvest them, and it's a tremendously deep spiritual relationship filled with gratitude and respect. The other pieces that are so important include the multi-generational aspect. So when I was harvesting these berries, I was working with my mother, and we brought my niece, who's 2.5, with us. It was quite an adventure in slow berry picking. And it's just a really wonderful opportunity for us to stay connected to our community, our elders, and our traditional ways of life, which teach us how to behave and interact in an appropriate way to appreciate the earth that we're living on, the gifts and the bounty, which makes us more likely to care for that resource long term.
It's hard work though. When I was in Igiugig and my photojournalist John Thane and I, we saw how they had to prepare. They had 8 months to prepare and they ran out of food. So now here at KTVA, there's a bunch of us that have committed to doing a 4-week challenge of eating food that is grown in Alaska. And I'm really intimidated. So do you have any tips for us on how to do this?
I do. So I feel like it's a lifestyle, and that may sound intimidating, but I would just recommend slow changes as you're best able and to be consistent. So something such as 1/3 of a cup of blueberries a day is a great way to just incorporate traditional foods into your diet, and inquiring about how to and where to pick those berries, or whatever it is, just one small thing. So if you want to start fishing, ask folks and create community around how to do that. I don't think you have to take it all on at once because it is really that lifestyle. For me, I create community connections and partnerships so I don't have to do that all myself. And that's a practice and a basic tenet of traditional of harvesting traditional foods, is that we'll often share a particular part or share the foods with our community. And so just fostering that community and being gentle with yourself about the process. And I think the reality is we live in a modern setting. So getting out on the earth to harvest what you feel and know is helpful for you, but also being reasonable is important.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be perfect, like perfect Carl. Not everyone is perfect, right? So obviously people have this connection. We asked people for their subsistence photos that you saw earlier, a few minutes earlier, and we had this enormous response. Hundreds of people sent us their pictures. What do you think that kind of response says?
I think that it says that we're tremendously resilient. You know, in this modern world, Alaskans really know how to get things done. And this gives us a really unique and wonderful platform in the world, because so much of the rest of the planet doesn't have continued access to those traditional foods and those traditional lifeways that have been used for thousands of years. So I think we're resilient and we're proud of our skills, and also we want to share those skills and have some appreciation for what that means to be eating from your traditional ways.
Dr. Allison Kelliher, thanks so much for being here with us, sharing your knowledge and sharing your food.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
All right.